Welcome. This is Change Your Pace Sports, bringing you another episode of unbiased, well-informed, objective sports breakdowns. Now, this is going to be about New York basketball. We're going to break down the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks so far in the early part of the NBA season. As a native New Yorker, we're going to be able to talk to the crowd, talk to the New Yorkers, and tell them exactly where New York is right now in the basketball scope in the NBA. So we're going to start off with the better of the two teams. That'll be the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets right now started the season off at 4-7. They're fighting for the 8th seed right now in the East after having quite a bit of expectations coming into the season. The Nets have been a very good offensive team. They are 6th in the league in points per game at 116.8 points. Their offensive rating is 12th in the league at 108.7. So the Nets have got off to a pretty decent start, but they've not been able to consistently win games. Now, I believe that the Nets are virtually the same team as last year, with a slightly better version of D'Angelo Russell and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie's been pretty good. It's been pretty good this season. If I want to quickly break down the 3 points, number one, Kyrie Irving has been great. He has been as good as advertised. He has been the offensive weapon that many believe him to be, and he's been healthy. He's been able to play virtually every game. His averages this year so far: 28.5 points per game, 7.2 assists per game, which I believe is his career high so far. 5.4 rebounds per game, and 1.1 steals per game. Kyrie, no doubt, has been great. He's put up some huge numbers. He's been the superstar that he's supposed to be. Unfortunately, I think the Nets, the young talent that they have around him, have not fully been consistent. And the injury to Karis LeVert is really going to hurt the Nets. Number two, the Nets have played in quite a few close games. So Nets lost 2 one-point games to Memphis and Minnesota, and they had 2 big wins though, one over Houston and one over Portland. Now the Nets have lost quite a few close games. They've been in quite a few dog battles in which they have not quite been able to pull out the win. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that this is a very young team in many respects. That they just came together. This is Kyrie's first season there. This is DeAndre Jordan's first season there. And one of the bigger free pickups in Kevin Durant is probably not going to play all season, which is a big reason why the Nets are really not a true contender this season. They should be able to try to make it into the playoffs, maybe on the 6th, 7th, 8th seed. But they will struggle for majority of the season, and especially now with Karis LeVert's injury. All right, and number 3 of the 3 big points. The Nets have a top 7 offense, but they've been a bottom third on defense. So on defense, the Nets, their opponent's points per game is 27th, as they give up 119.5 points per game, and their defensive rating was 23rd at 111.3. So defensively, the Nets have completely struggled this year. It has a lot to do with they don't have a lot of defensive players per se, especially at the point guard and the guard positions. Karis LeVert, Dinwiddie, Kyrie Irving, they're not particularly elite defenders. They're very good offensive players. Taurean Prince is a very good offensive player that can play defense. And then they have defensive players such as Jared Allen, and then DeAndre Jordan as the mentor to Jared Allen. But defensively, the team hasn't been good. Kenny Atkinson is not known for defense. But if the Nets are going to be a good team this season when they don't have Kevin Durant, the defense is going to have to play better for them to actually make it to the postseason and be a significant team this year. So I do think the Nets will be a good team, but I'm not sure that the Nets will be a high elite team this season. I think if Kyrie gets hurt, then the Nets can actually plummet and be more of a lottery team. So the hope right now for the Nets is that Kyrie doesn't get hurt and they're able to stabilize it and just be a 500 team until they're able to catch their groove, because offensively they're going to be able to score points. the question for this team is being able to get enough stops to be able to win games on a consistent basis. So for the Brooklyn Nets, uh, they're really a mediocre team right now. I have them ranking on my Power 30 ranking as of November 15. I have them 17th in the NBA, and that's down 5 from their preseason ranking of 12. So the Nets have not been up to expectations, but Kyrie Irving has. Um, so looking forward, you hope that players like Rudis Kunos, uh, I think his name is D Musa Musa. He's a forward. The more they get to play, the more they get to develop those European players. They'll be able to spread the floor and add toughness and role play that the Nets really need right now. But it's up to the coach Kenny Atkins to be able to develop a scheme of get more defensive pressure on the ball, more defensive intensity for the team throughout 4 quarters. Right. So let's move on to the other New York team across the pond, and that would be the New York Knicks. Now, the New York Knicks are at 3-9, and they have been near the bottom of the league. I have them ranked in my 28th in my Power 30 power ranking. They dropped 2 from 26 in their preseason power ranking. The Knicks have been very poor offensively. They average just 100 points per game. That's 29th in the league. Their offensive rating is dead last at 30th with a 101.0. Right. Defensively, they've actually been pretty good. They've been actually a good defensive team. Defensive rating, they're 21st in the league at 110.7. Opponents' points per game, they're 13th in the league at 109.7. Now, the Knicks, the media has made it seem like the Knicks have had a very bad start to the season. That the Knicks have struggled badly, or their offseason is showing that they had a bad offseason, that they signed too many power forwards, that they are going in the wrong direction. These are all false. The Knicks, they have a very good head coach in David Fizdale. If you actually put the tape on and watch what the Knicks are doing, the Knicks are running good stuff. They're missing a lot of open shots right now. And then most people don't seem to understand is the Knicks are a very young team. They just put this team together. It's going to take this team at least 2 months before they're able to find their chemistry. Now, let me go into my 3 points about the Knicks this season. So, number 1, with 9 new players and the 5th youngest roster, the Knicks have struggled with consistency. So the biggest struggle that the Knicks have had this year has been consistent play through 4 quarters. They've been able to compete on most games for 3 quarters. They've looked like a very good competitive team for majority of most games. They've been able to come back against some big leads. And I think a lot of that has to do with they're very young. And this team has just came together. This is David Fizdale's second year with this group. And they're very young. And they've also dealt with some significant injuries. Their point guard, or their starting point guard in the beginning of the season, was supposed to be Dennis Smith Jr. He got injured. Then the next guy up that was the starting point guard on opening night, Alfred Payton, he's been injured. Their best defensive big man and their actual rim protector, Mitchell Robinson, he's missed some games with a concussion and other little injuries. And he is probably one of the best shot blockers in the game. Like, you take that type of player out, that takes a lot away from what they do. He's also one of their the best lob catchers in the league, where he just runs the rim and then they throw it over the rim and it's an easy basket. When you take him out the lineup, the Knicks are not nearly as productive or effective from the big man position. Now, the idea that they signed too many power forwards, that is absolute nonsense. For a lot of the time when Taj Gibson is on the floor, he's playing the 5 position for the Knicks. He's not a 4 for the Knicks at all, virtually at all. Bobby Porter's the same way. He plays a lot of 5-man for the Knicks. So he's not really a power forward the way he was signed as a power forward. For the Knicks, really a power forward position is really Julius Randle that plays the majority of the time there at that position. I feel like the Knicks will be fine. They have a lot of talent. They have a very good team. They just need time to actually gel. If a lot of this noise is able to go away, where they're saying that they need to fire Fizdale, If the Knicks can just hold the ship together, this is the same as the Stephen Curry's rookie year or the Klay Thompson's rookie year the following year in Golden State, where they're going to struggle. They're going to lose some games. This is their first, like, RJ Barrett is a very good player. He will be a superstar in this league, but you have to give him time to develop. So, point number 2. RJ Barrett has been arguably the best rookie in the NBA, averaging 15 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.3 steals. So, right into my next point, the Knicks might have the Rookie of the Year on their roster right now in RJ Barrett. Now, the media made it seem as in the Knicks wanted Zion. Zion was the better of the two. Zion is not the better basketball player between him and RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has been the best player in this class since he was 15. And even at Duke, he led Duke in scoring. So it wasn't even that Zion was a better player even at Duke than RJ. He had more highlights. He shot a higher percentage because a lot of it was dunks. Whereas RJ has a more complete game. He's a better passer. He's been at the highest level longer than Zion. And he's proven to be a more healthy basketball player. Zion has been hurt at virtually all levels of his basketball career. I think RJ will continue to improve. Again, the comparison that I have for RJ Barrett is Grant Hill. I think he'll be a lot like Grant Hill when he actually matures into his caliber of player. And I think the Knicks have a superstar in their hands. As long as the fans are able to cultivate and not be so pressuring of a player to produce at such a young stage in their career. I think in the backcourt, the best backcourt for the Knicks going forward would be Frank Ntilikina and RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett is 6'7", Frank Ntilikina is 6'6", 6'7". The two of them both are good defenders. Frank is an elite defender. RJ Barrett is an elite offensive player. So they really they balance each other's weaknesses and strengths very well, and they can end up being like a James Harden and Patrick Beverly kind of backcourt when they're able to mature together. I think the Knicks are in a very good position with a young starting five that can grow together. But let's move into number 3. The Knicks have been one of the worst offensive teams with the NBA's worst free throw percentage, but they've been able to have a top 12 defense with a top 5 in steals, 11th in forced turnovers, and a top 5 rebounding team. So Knicks defensively have actually been pretty good. They've shown toughness. They've shown the ability to actually slow teams down. They slowed Dallas down. They beat Dallas twice. Dallas is a top 3 offensive team right now in the league. With Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, the Knicks were able to slow them down both times that they played them, which had a lot to do with Frank Ntilikina's play. Like I said, I think the Knicks, as the season go on, they will continue to get better. I still think this team is around 30, 35 wins for the year. They're a mediocre team, but as they continue to get their chemistry, they continue to play together, they continue to actually grow together and develop together, this will be a very entertaining team, a very competitive team. I like to tell people, like, look at the rookie year of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green with Golden State. Look at Grant Hill's rookie year with Detroit. These are some of the teams that you can look at and see this is where the Knicks would be at. Even though the New York media makes it seem like the Knicks are trash, the Knicks need to fire Fizdale, this is all going down. This is what a young team looks like. They're going to take some losses in the beginning as they're finding themselves. But once they're able to find their stride with a coach like David Fizdale, this team can easily win a lot of games and next year be a playoff team. And so for right now, that is the breakdown of where the New York teams are. That's an objective kind of breakdown of New York basketball, the Brooklyn Nets, and the New York Knicks. And then we'll finish it off with who's the top 5 ranking of New York players. Sorry. Top 5 New York players right now in New York City playing for the New York Knicks are the Brooklyn Nets. Starting off at number 5, we have rookie RJ Barrett. He started the year off pretty good, again averaging 15, 6, and 4. Shooting the ball better from 3-point than people expected. RJ's on pace right now to be the rookie of the year, but he's number 5 in top 5 New York basketball players. Number 4, we got Knicks' biggest offseason signing, Julius Randle. Despite struggling a bit, Randle is still averaging about 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, which is still very, very good numbers. Now, he struggled to have consistency. He struggled at the free throw line. But Julius Randle has came out there every night. He's rebounded the ball well. He's made plays for his teammates. And he's brought the energy every night. And he hasn't missed any games. Into number 3, Brooklyn Nets point guard Spencer Dinwiddie. He's on this pace right now to possibly be a 6th man of the year. He's averaging about 17 points, over 5 assists off the bench. And he's giving you a real offensive punch for the Nets every single game off of that bench. And he's basically been more consistent and more efficient than anybody on the Knicks team, making him the 3rd best player in New York basketball right now. Number 2, for the Brooklyn Nets, Caris LeVert. Unfortunately, he just got injured recently this week, so he'll be out actually maybe about a month, 2 months. But he was playing very good basketball, averaging almost 18 points a game, looking like a real playmaker out there, alongside with Kyrie Irving, alongside with Joe Harris on that perimeter for the Brooklyn Nets. So this would be a very hurtful injury for the Brooklyn Nets, because Caris was playing good basketball and he was continuing to take the next step. But right now, he'll be number 2 on our top 5 New York basketball players. And number 1, I don't even think this is really a question here. The number 1 basketball player in New York basketball right now would be Brooklyn Nets point guard Kyrie Irving. He's top 5 right now in scoring right now in the NBA, and he's averaging a career high in assists at over 7 a game. So he's dishing the ball, but he's also scoring the ball at a high clip. He's really doing his thing. He's showing that he's one of the best players in the NBA, but they haven't really translated to wins because the Nets as a team hasn't had fully consistent play around Kyrie Irving. But right now, no questions, the best basketball player in New York basketball is Kyrie Irving, the point guard of the Brooklyn Nets. This was a quick breakdown, a quick report of New York basketball after the first few weeks in the NBA season. We can continue to do this as the season continues. If you like this, hit like. If you like how I break down these basketball analysts, please subscribe. Again, this is Change Your Pace Sports. I'm your host, Kay. Till next time.